Welcome to my top 10 Strat albums of all time. I can't believe I haven't gotten to this list before. It is well overdue, but we're going to get into it. But before we do, I just want to say, this is just my list. This is my personal top 10. This is just me having a little bit of fun and celebrating these iconic Stratocaster albums. I've gone through the records. I picked out my favorites. It wasn't easy to do. I had to leave a bunch of them off. And I'll ask you guys, what records belong on a top 10 list of Strat albums of all time? Let me know in the comment section below. You can only fit so many records on a top 10 list. 10 to be exact. So a lot of records had to be left off. Here are a few honorable mentions. Of course, we have Eric Clapton, who cast aside his Gibson for a Stratocaster around 1970, and he appears with a Strat on so many iconic album covers. It was very difficult to leave him off this list. Next, there's Jeff Beck, who famously played a Strat on the Wired album. And again, just an iconic Stratocaster rocker. Believe it or not, even Jimmy Page played a Strat, who was famous for playing Gibsons with Led Zeppelin. In the later part of his career, he introduced the Strat into some iconic albums. But since he's most known as a Gibson player, I left him off the list, but look for him to appear in a future video. So we have to start off with a banger, and right away we're jumping in with Jimi Hendrix and the Jimi Hendrix Experience. This one is Are You Experienced? This album changed the course of guitar playing for all time. This album came out in 1967, and this is the Stratocaster album. Hendrix practically defines the Strat's legacy with songs like Hey Joe and Purple Haze on here. His use of distortion and bends and feedback is so iconic to his sound and his guitar playing. This album is groundbreaking. This album is a blueprint of the electric guitar and just helped to define the sound of the electric guitar as we know it now. If you have not listened to this record recently, you have to give it a spin. It is classic and an essential album in anybody's collection. Not to mention, Jimmy played arguably the most famous Strat of all time, the Stratocaster that he set aflame at the Monterey Pop Festival. Just an iconic visual, an iconic moment in rock and roll history. That guitar, incidentally, ended up with Frank Zappa. It was played by Adrian Belew with Frank Zappa and with the Talking Heads. That Stratocaster was literally resurrected from the ashes like a phoenix, and it just goes to show you cannot keep a good Strat down. All right, coming up at number 9 is Pink Floyd's Meddle album from 1971 with David Gilmour's iconic Strat sound all over this record. This really represents for Pink Floyd a shift in Gilmour's playing and is a precursor in a lot of ways to 1973's Dark Side of the Moon. His tone is rich and timeless, and he just shreds on songs like Echoes. If you have not seen Pink Floyd at Pompeii, you have to check that video out. It is so amazing. Everybody is on fire, but David Gilmour on his Strat plays some incredible crunchy lines and just brings that live session and the song Echoes to life like no other. All right, next up we got a little U2, and this time we have The Edge playing on the Joshua Tree. The Edge is brilliant on the Strat. I mean, his echoey, jangly tones are linked to U2, but also the 80s in such a strong way. His sound is huge, but it's also very intimate. On here you have Where the Streets Have No Name, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, and just amazing tunes. Incredibly emotional playing by The Edge on here. And if you haven't seen the movie Rattle and Hum, it is fantastic. It's a fantastic representation of U2 and the early tunes, and The Edge plays the Stratocaster, and it just knocks your socks off. All right, next up, a classic. We've got Fleetwood Mac's Rumours here, and we know Lindsey Buckingham played a ton of guitar on this album. A lot of it was acoustic guitar, particularly on songs like Never Going Back Again, which is just a masterpiece of sophisticated and complicated guitar parts. But Buckingham's finger-picking style is also used on a Strat on this album. Look at songs like Go Your Own Way, where Lindsey brings out the Strat's clear and cutting tones. And the album as a whole is an anthem for the 1970s. This is a must-have in any Strat lover's collection. As far as I'm concerned, no discussion about guitar can happen without Frank Zappa being present. And this album has a lot of Frank Zappa solos. This is guitar, and there's a lot of Strat on here. Zappa is going to be probably most well known for his Gibson SG. He also played a Les Paul and lots of other guitars, but in the later part of his career, he considered the Stratocaster to be the perfect combination of all the sounds he was really looking for. Zappa's eccentric and innovative approach to the guitar are legendary, and this album features not only some of his best solos, but some of the best solo playing on a Strat of all time. This album will give you a masterclass in guitar playing. I know this is a compilation of live guitar solos, but it is an official release, and I think it belongs on any discussion about the Strat. It includes not only Zappa's incredible playing, but also stretches what I think a lot of people thought was even possible on a Stratocaster. Again, another guitar that has to appear on any Stratocaster conversation is going to be Frankenstrat. And in this one, we have the black and white Strat, which Eddie Van Halen played on Van Halen 1. This album is pure magic. Eddie Strat's sound is inseparable from the sound on this album. We have the iconic riff on Running with the Devil. We have the incredible solo and intro into Eruption. And Eddie practically reinvented the way people looked at guitar playing and playing on a Strat. He not only has technical prowess, which I think a lot of people would agree to that, but he also has a creative genius that he brings to the tunes on this record. And this is the one that kicks it all off. So get the black and white Strat on here, the Frankenstrat, or the precursor to the Frankenstrat that we all know and love, the red, white, and black one. But Eddie absolutely and literally abuses these guitars, and the record is so much better for it. So while the Frankenstrat literally is a Frankenstein's monster of a guitar, I still include it on the Strat list. And this is essential listening for any lover of guitar. Now this one might be a little bit of a surprise to people. This is Europe 72 by the Grateful Dead. And of course we have Jerry Garcia here playing a Strat. Jerry played a Strat for about 3 years during this period with a guitar that he received as a gift from Graham Nash. Jerry's guitar playing is just so rich and alive, and his tone is so impeccable, and his finger-picking style is just second to none. He is such an underrated guitar player. His solos on this album are legendary. His ability to bend blues, rock, and country is second to none, and his Strat playing on here is what helped to make him so unique. This album features the Alligator Strat, which is a $250 guitar that Graham Nash bought from a pawn shop, gifted it to Jerry because of all the work that Jerry had done with Graham Nash just to show his appreciation. And then Jerry went ahead and just made this album with it. Really, really historic stuff. All right, you knew we were going to get there. We eventually have to land at Stevie Ray Vaughan. This is Couldn't Stand the Weather. Of course, there he is with the Strat right on the cover. And Vaughan's relationship with the Strat is just one of the most iconic in history. His tone, his feel, everything about his playing on this album is pure magic. Tracks like Cold Shot, Scuttle Button are textbook examples of how the Strat can be used to create some of the most soulful blues you will ever hear. Now, Stevie Ray Vaughan is going to sound a lot like Jimi Hendrix to a lot of people, and he openly acknowledged how Jimi Hendrix was such a major influence on him. He even covered some of Hendrix's tunes like Voodoo Child, Slight Return, Little Wing, and Third Stone from the Sun, and they are bangers. So do not sleep on Stevie Ray Vaughan, especially for you Strat lovers. This is an essential album. All right, next up is another one that might come as a surprise to some people. And this time we got the Beatles. This is Rubber Soul, featuring the incredible work of John Lennon and George Harrison. And both of them use Strats on this album. The way they blended their tones on this album really gave it an experimental edge. Songs like Norwegian Wood and Nowhere Man really show how the Strat could be used to break free of rock and roll boundaries. In 1965, both John and George bought Sonic Blue Stratocasters, which they used on this album. And again, you can hear them most notably on Nowhere Man, where they're both playing their guitar parts in unison. Very, very cool. All right, we've come to the end of our list, but there's still one incredible guitar player to mention, and it's John Frusciante of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This is Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magik. I contend this is a masterpiece. This is a funky, rockin' masterpiece, and John Frusciante's, some of his best playing is on this record. And again, his Strat playing it's funky, it's soulful, it's emotional. I really believe Frusciante made this album unforgettable because of his use of the Strat. It's incredible. So that's it, my top 10 list of Strat albums. So what do you think? Did your favorite Strat album make the list? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing music content. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.